And now to officially start our meeting, Ed, I'd ask you to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Clermont County Board of Commissioners meeting for this 16th day of December. And we will start right off with our agenda that has been prepared for us. The meeting's been called to order, and we will go to B, approval of regular session minutes for 12/14/2020. Board, you've had the regular session minutes of 12/14, had an opportunity to review them. Have any changes made that needed to be? Do I have a motion to approve the regular session minutes?
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. And I will move to C, the consent agenda. Board, a consent agenda has been prepared for you. I know you've had the opportunity to review it since Friday. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda?
None.
None.
Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as provided.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Before we start on the non-consent agenda, I'd like to move up county staff and elected official discussions. Are there any staff or county official discussions this morning or updates, Tom?
Yes, sir.
None?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Then we would go on to D, the non-consent agenda. Non-consent agenda starts on page 6 at item number 5. It's a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt Resolution 19020, resolving to approve payment in vendors in the total amount of $2,652,704.14 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated December 16th, 2020. The BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and/or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 12/14/2020, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for the same pursuant to section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
I'll second.
Then moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 6.
Good morning, Craig Resner, County Mayor's Office. Item number 6 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, concurrence of Thomas Heigl, County Administrator, to accept the following permanent and temporary easements and existing right-of-way easements granted and conveyed to the County of Clermont for roadway purposes necessary for OPWC project number CJ14W/CJ15W relative to the Bradbury Road project located in Pierce Township, and to acknowledge that any and all compensation has been satisfied by the Pierce Township Board of Trustees. We have permanent and temporary easements from Bradbury Farms LLC, Neil and Krishna Patel, Kimberly A. Taylor trustee, Jared Sullivan. This is a project, is a road widening project on Bradbury Road near 9 Mile, and it's being managed by the Pierce Township Board of Trustees. But in this case, the easements need to be granted to the Board of County Commissioners. Therefore, we're asking the board to approve these permanent and temporary highway easements.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 6. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Then moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 7.
Morning. John Cascaden, Director of the Department of Public Safety Services. Item number 7, on my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eichel, County Administrator, to execute the Mountain Coast Tower Lease Agreement by and between Clermont County Board of County Commissioners and Mobilecom Incorporated, Cincinnati, Ohio, for the rental of tower space at the Mount Carmel Tower site located at 5956 Buckwheat Road, Milford, Ohio, for a period of 5 years, whereas Mobilecom Incorporated will remit to the Clermont County Board of County Commissioners $1,700 per month, which will increase with a 3% annual reimbursement fee pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 7. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or questions? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Thanks, John. Item number 8.
Good morning, Diana Owens with Common Pleas Adult Probation. The recommendation of Julie Fry, Director of Clermont County Court of Common Pleas Adult Probation Department, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Idle, County Administrator, to authorize David Painter, President of Board of County Commissioners, to execute the 2020 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Grant, identified as 2020-CE-PPF-2195, and the reimbursement amount of up to $14,199.89, with no local match required, effective for the period of May 1st, 2020 to April 30th, 2021, by and between the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services, Division of Ohio Department of Public Safety, and the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas Adult Probation Department as the designated implementing agency, in concert with the application pre-award agreement approved by the Board of County Commissioners on November 18th, 2020, and pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth within.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 8. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or questions? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 9. Thank you.
Item 9 is the recommendation to approve and sign public official bond number 5041833 in the amount of $10,000 for Deborah Klepper, who was duly elected county recorder for the County of Clermont, Ohio, for a term of 4 years commencing on 1/4/21 and ending 1/5/25, and subsequent thereto, to authorize payment of the premium therefore in the amount of $325 to C. Edwin Levins Insurance Agency in Milford, Ohio, pursuant to Section 31702 of the Ohio Revised Code. Public official bond is to be filed in the office of the county treasurer.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 9 for a public official bond for Deborah Klepper. Do I have a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 10.
Item 10 is the recommendation to approve and sign public official bond number 5042268 in the amount of $5,000 for Brian Treon, who was duly elected county coroner for the County of Clermont, Ohio, for a term of 4 years, commencing on January 4th, 2021, and ending January 5th, 2025, and subsequent thereto, to authorize payment of the premium therefore in the amount of $325 to C. Edwin Levins Insurance Agency of Milford, Ohio, pursuant to Section 31303 of the Ohio Revised Code. The public official bond is to be filed in the office of the county auditor.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 10 for the bond for Brian Treon. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 11.
Item 11 is the recommendation to approve and sign public official bond number 5041041 in the amount of $10,000 for Barb Wiedebine, who was duly elected the Common Pleas Clerk of Courts for the County of Clermont, Ohio, for a term of 4 years commencing on January 4th, 2021, and ending January 5th, 2025, and subsequent thereto, to authorize payment of the premium therefore in the amount of $325 to C. Edwin Levins Insurance Agency of Milford, Ohio, pursuant to Section 230302 of the Ohio Revised Code. This public official bond is to be filed in the office of the county treasurer.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 11 for the public official bond for Barbara Wiedenbein. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 12.
Mary Raines from OMB.
Morning.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Ed, welcome.
In person, huh?
Yes, It's in person. Item number 12 is the review of the 2021 annual appropriations. And Holly, did you load that up as a presentation?
No, typically Debbie does that.
So I asked David, he didn't have it.
I'm sorry.
The board all has a copy, as does administration. And basically then what I'll go over is the changes from the past 2 weeks' presentations. The revised appropriation for 2020 that you've seen on your thing is as of September 21st. I think last week there was some question about the COVID fund, and it was only $2 million roughly. That's the reason, is because it was a point in time that those documents were run.
Okay.
So that's that. The general fund has 95.3% as operating costs, and we have, of that, criminal justice, which is the sheriff and all that related, is 43%, with the judicial is 23%, and then general government is 20%, and the other public safety and health and human services make up the other. The change that we've done in here is for the dog and kennel fund contribution from the general fund. It went up from $116,000 to $159,000, and you'll see that you see that on the other funds page, where the animal control went from a to be determined to just over $467,000, and that includes the hiring of wardens and shelter staff, and the $20,000, that's the auditor's portion of the dog and kennel fund. The reason it's slightly below the $500,000 that was recommended that the county would incur for running the shelter is in 2021, there would only be 10 months of health care benefits for the staff, for the full-time staff. So that saves $23,000 or so.
They have the 60-day waiting.
They have a
period for the
60-day waiting
benefits.
period.
Okay.
So that's why there's a little bit difference between the $500,000 that's been discussed. So I'm kind of jumping around because that's other fund is related to what we put in here. So we've increased the general fund to cover the $159,000 contribution that the dog and kennel fund is short in revenues. The other, we changed the non-operating. We put in $200,000 as a non-operating advance, or probably just going to be a transfer to fleet, because fleet has lost revenues this year. They struggled to begin with, but it's been exacerbated by the pandemic because of the CTC buses have been parked, so they haven't had service to do. We still have the fixed cost of the mechanics. So that's the difference. Also included in this proposal is a 2.5% salary action for the existing non-bargaining staff, and that's based on the existing bargaining contracts that have been going up 2.5%. So 1% for the people who didn't have salary actions booked in here would run around $367,000 per 1%. So if you would want to consider something different, that's a number to keep in mind. The general government also includes, this was no change actually, risk program, our insurance program, and that went up 20.5% over current year based on recommendations that actually I think comes up at the next one. That'll still leave some money to be negotiated by our broker for the excess liability. We still have a few outstanding staff requests that have not been addressed in this proposal, which could require further discussion and prioritization of funding from the board. However, with that said, we are currently planning to draw down just under under $950,000 out of general fund next year. And out of that, 1.1 million is really a draw on the operating funds due to the reduction in revenues that we won't quite make back up next year from the pandemic. So, without the additional staffing issues that you've got for consideration, that's another $371,000 that would be pulled out of the operating monies. So, bottom line is the proposed, now I need glasses because these numbers are small. The operating is $63,949,120. And then we have some non-operating, so the grand total of general fund would be $67,073,324 in total under this recommendation. And it is a drop from 2020. As you recall, there's 27 payrolls this year and dropping back down to 26 next year. So then we talk about the other funds, the changes from last week. I already hit on the dog and kennel fund and the impact of that. When we look at environmental and water resources, they're going from $60 million this year, almost 61 to 73, and that's basically because of their capital plan in sewer. So they're funding that out of their own monies. Internal service funds, it was just a small increase in the fleet to cover the mechanic at a level 2 instead of a level 1, just to see if we could recruit some additional people. Transportation, CTC, we increased by $250,000 because you guys gave them an advance last week of the SORTA money. So we had to put that budget in there for them to repay us next year when that money comes in. And then public safety was reduced almost $25,000, but that's in the wireless 9/11 fund. And that fund, the fund balance has been drawn down over the years, but the revenues remain static. So we pay for a piece of the DPSS supervisors out of that fund and then some contracts. So I think that what I'm recommending is that when we start doing the 2022 budget in spring, we take a good look at this year at how the 9/11 fund is running and make that shift if we need to increase the comm center's budget to make up for those differences. And I expect that we will. I don't see any reason to expect that the 9/11 fund is going to generate more dollars. So, and then I touched base on the COVID fund is not in this proposal because you have to spend those monies by the end of this year. So anything that's in there has to be encumbered before the end of the year. So the COVID fund appropriation to date is just under $9.9 million. And the county has received $19.7 million. So bottom line, this recommended appropriation draws down the general fund by $948,000. And all funds, it's planned to draw $15.6 million down from the revenues, or from the fund balances. And those are all based on if the capital projects go forward as planned. And those are always changing. So it depends on when things go out. That's the biggest thing. Then outside agencies, developmental disabilities plans, $3 million draw on their balance. The enterprise funds are drawing money from their water and their wastewater programs. And those are all in the plans. Special revenues, usually when the engineer submits his budget, he doesn't have his capital included in it because he doesn't have a separate capital fund. He does this year. So it is reflecting a $1.8 million draw. So basically that is it. The items that are still for consideration are the additional monies requested out of general fund. Now we can adopt the appropriation if everybody's happy with what's presented, and then address any changes as a supplemental appropriation, because the appropriations are a fluid document. As you know, they change every week, or almost every week.
And before I ask for a motion on that, just let me clarify that. If we approve item 12 as presented here, and then at a later date, we do want to address the prosecutor, or we do want to address one of the other items, we can still do that even though we have approved this here.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
can do that as supplemental, yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Mary.
Okay?
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So you said $900,000 drawdown in the general fund.
Correct.
That means we're in the negative. We're a negative balance. We have greater expenses than we have revenues.
That is
of
correct.
$900,000.
That is correct, based on the projections.
Thank you very much.
And that 900,000 will come from the fund balance.
The fund balance,
Currently.
correct.
Okay.
And we still have the fund balance reserves as the board targets a minimum of a third of the expenses, and so we're well within that.
Any other conversation or discussion?
No.
Roll call, Holly.
Mary, did you read the motion?
I did not read it. Do you want me to read the motion?
I believe that would be appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. The recommendation of Thomas-Igoe County Administrator to adopt Resolution 19120, resolving to adopt the annual appropriation for Clermont County for 2021 pursuant to and in compliance with 570538 of the Ohio Revised Code. It also establishes the legal level of control for the 2021 annual appropriations in compliance with Ohio Administrative Code 117-5-02. And it also includes a waiver for the limitation of payroll expenses during the first half of the fiscal year where the personnel costs change or are charged to multiple funding sources. And that is in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 570546. So we put those together into the one motion so we don't have to come back in June and adopt a separate motion for the payroll piece.
Ed, you moved on this item.
Yes.
Would you be
Yes.
willing to modify after you've heard it read?
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
you would too? Okay. Then it's been moved and we've received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Item number 13.
Item number 13 is regarding our insurance program. Last week, Kevin Fink was here with us on Monday and reviewed the market impact on achieving reasonable quotes for the county for the lines of coverage. Kevin, I believe, is with us on Zoom today. If you have any questions as a follow-up to Monday. Any questions, or should I proceed?
I have no question.
No questions.
No questions? Okay, all right. There's been some minor changes, and it's, the total premium for the base coverage lines is up to $679,722, which is a 3% increase over the expiring coverage. He's still working on the excess liability, so we will be returning on the 28th for that. So let me read the motion, and it's a recommendation of OMB with the concurrence of the county administrator to accept the proposal submitted by the Arthur Gallagher Risk Management Services out of Independence, Ohio, entitled the Insurance Program Renewal Proposal, of which you all have a copy, dated December 15, 2020, as it relates to the purchase of property, casual, and liability, including cyber liability insurance for the county of Clermont, for the period of December 31st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, at an estimated annual premium of $792,883 for all lines of coverage, and further to authorize David Painter, President of the Board, and/or Tom Igoe, County Administrator, to execute any documents in and as it relates. The $792,883 is the amount that is currently included in the annual appropriations you just adopted. So if they come back with excess liability and the quotes and they don't meet the difference between that $679,722 and that $792,883, it would require a budget adjustment.
Okay.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 14.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Item number 14 is a recommendation of Mr. Igel, County Administrator, to adopt resolution number 192-20, which resolves to recognize programs for which county funds may be expended to purchase limited refreshments and to specify these activities are for a legitimate and necessary public purchase for calendar year 2021 as set forth in Exhibit A, which is made part of and attached to this resolution, and to appropriate funds for the purchase of limited refreshments for the same.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 15.
Item 15 is a recommendation of Mr. Igel, County Administrator, to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board, to execute a joint application with the prosecuting attorney to the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas for employment of legal counsel with Dinsmore and Scholl as a special counsel to represent the Board in its official capacity and to advise it on legal matters outlined for the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, compliance with Section 305.14 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, that concludes our non-consent agenda as presented. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir, we do. I'd like your consideration on 5 add-ons for today's agenda.
Okay.
The first one I would like to request is a personnel action for the Department of Job and Family Services. The second add-on I would like to request is the recommendation to approve the First Amendment to the Economic Development Strategic Plan. The third add-on I would like you to consider is a resolution to approve changes to the annual appropriation resolution. The fourth add-on I would like you to consider is an agreement with the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority. And finally, I would like you to approve an executive session pursuant to Section 121.22G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment or compensation of one or more public employees.
Board, you've heard the need to address 5 add-ons in today's session. Do I have a motion to amend the agenda to include these 5 add-ons?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. And we'll take first ones first, personnel action.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The personnel action is for the Department of Job and Family Services for Teresa Ellison, a promotion to Assistant Director, specifically our Child Support Enforcement Division, effective January 4th, 2021.
Board, you have heard the reading of the proposed add-on for personal action.
Are they here?
Do I have a motion?
To be.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any conversation or discussion?
Yes, we have Mr. Tim Dick with us to introduce Ms. Ellison.
There you go.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
First, I'd like to, just for the community's sake, just talk a little bit about the agency and the impact that the Child Support Division has on the community. Clermont County Child Support Enforcement is responsible for the establishment and enforcing of child support and medical insurance orders. We support 46,000 individuals approximately and collect around $36 million in child support each year. Teresa Ellison has both the education, the leadership experience, and the demeanor for the job. Her ability to understand and interpret the complex child support laws and administrative codes, to lead a staff of 55 employees, and she works as easily and as well with the public as she does with our community partners. It's my pleasure to introduce Teresa Ellison.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone today. As Tim mentioned, I have over 25 years of experience in the child support field. and I've served the families of Clermont County for all that time. I believe strongly in the mission of our agency, which is to make sure that the children of Clermont County get the support that they deserve and need. And I'm super excited to get started in my new role as Deputy Director. And I really appreciate the confidence everyone has shown in me, and I just appreciate the opportunity to meet everyone today and say hello and Merry Christmas to everyone and their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. And we'll move on to the second edition. I believe that's Michael. Morning, Michael.
Morning, Commissioners. How are you doing?
Good, you?
Doing well, thank you. This is a recommendation of Michael McNamara, Director, Department of Community and Economic Development, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to adopt Resolution Number 193-20, resolving to approve a First Amendment to the Economic Development Strategic Plan for the County of Clermont, Ohio, expanding the scope of the Clermont County Economic Development Strategic Plan attached to the amendment, which was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners on December 14, 2016, which designated the Clermont County CIC Incorporated, the CIC, as the county's agency for industrial, commercial, distribution, and research development in the county, pursuant to which expanded scope to authorize the CIC to enter into loan agreements in furtherance of its authorized purposes effective upon execution and in compliance with Chapter 1724 of the Ohio Revised Code. Essentially, this doesn't change anything in the Economic Development Strategic Plan or the Community Improvement Corporation, except to make it crystal clear that it can make loans, and that was a recommendation by the CIC Council, Pat Woodside of Frost Ground Pond.
Board, you've heard the reading of the second add-on there for recommendation of Michael McNamara, the Director of our Clermont County Economic and Development Department, to approve a First Amendment to the Development Strategic Plan. And specifically, Michael, the term loan was one of the changes that was in there, correct?
Yes, Commissioner. We wanted to make it crystal clear that it was an acceptable activity of the CIC.
Okay. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved, received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Add-on number 3.
Item number 3 is a request to change the annual appropriations, the recommendation of Linda Fraley, County Auditor, to reduce the annual appropriations for 2020 pursuant to 570540. There are several if you want me to read them. Otherwise, it's a reduction to the overall 2020 appropriations of $620,190.18. And this is just where the auditor looks at actual revenues versus the estimates that were on the official certificate. They're going to reduce those estimates down to actual, so in some cases the appropriations, so that they don't exceed that final amended certificate, they reduce the appropriations accordingly.
Thanks, Mary. Board, you've heard the reading of the recommendation of Linda Fraley, the authorized changes of the annual appropriation, resolution number 191-19. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thank you.
And our fourth add-on.
Good morning.
Morning.
Our fourth add-on is the recommendation of William Harris, Director of Clermont Transportation Connection, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, or in his absence, any other member of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute an agreement by and between the Clermont County Board of Commissioners and the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, SORTA, 602 Main Street, Suite 1100, Cincinnati, Ohio 45202, for the provisions of transportation services within Clermont County, Ohio by SORTA for the period of 1/1/21 through 12/31/21 for the current level of service on Metro routes 29X and 82X, with total costs therefore not to exceed $527,086, and to authorize SORTA to draw down the full amount of Clermont County's Federal Transit 5307 funds to process these services, and to refund Clermont County the balance of Federal Transit 5307 funds and SORTA local funds pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein.
Board, you've heard the reading of the add-on. That was a recommendation of William Harris with Tom's concurrence for an agreement between the board and Southwest Ohio Regional Transit. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Board, before I go to item number 5, can I make a request here, Mr. Bickford, that you might go to my office real quick? And against the right-hand side wall of my office, there's rather a large piece of material that I could use here for a second. And if you could just hold for a minute. Board, with your concurrence, I'd like to go to G on member comments here, if that's okay with you. Tom, if you would like to go first.
Sure. Commissioner Humphrey, on behalf of the staff, I'd like to present to you with the history leadership. This is a poster that's out in our lobby. So we had a copy made for you and we framed it up. David, you get this? So thank you for all your support. We're going to miss you.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Got to tilt it so you don't see a reflection.
How do you want it, Mike?
That's great.
Right here?
You get straight up and down. You got to come down.
Go down, Tom.
I know, I'm looking at my reflection on it. I'm going the opposite.
It's good. Very good.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Hey, Mike,
Thank you.
we'd like Ed, move right here to the center.
Yep.
Claire and I will stand behind you from the dais. Janet, you come up. I want you to hold that. Bring that up here for us. We wanted to come around on this side.
You want it up there or down here?
No, right down there with him.
Smile with your mask on.
Right.
Me?
Yeah, there.
Yeah, stand next to him.
You got to find a window.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
We're not finished with you yet, so.
Then Ed, if you just stand down there next to the podium.
Next to the podium.
Yeah.
You got that one.
I have to read it to you first.
Okay.
You know, the years of your service are all indicated by the size of the proclamation that you get. I don't think that I have ever held a larger proclamation since I've been a county commissioner. So I'll read this to you, Ed. It says, whereas Edwin H. Humphrey proudly served his community for 31 years as an elected official, and he is serving his last day as a Clermont County Commissioner, December 31st, 2020. Whereas Mr. Humphrey started his community service as a devoted volunteer emergency medical technician and firefighter, while raising a family working as a full-time employee for Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati. Edwin continued to serve in the Miamiville Fire Department, where he achieved the rank of fire chief. Ed's experience in firefighting and EMT service led him to become an instructor in the subject of emergency response at Great Oaks Vocational School. He continued to use his experience on the ski patrol at Perfect North Slopes in Indiana for 30 years. And whereas Edwin H. Humphrey started his career as an elected official in 1990 as a Miami Township trustee, he was later appointed to the Board of Clermont County Commissioners in 2008 and took the oath of office January the 2nd, 2009, becoming the 135th commissioner in Clermont County history. Whereas Edwin H. Humphrey served as president of many associations, Clermont County Commissioners Association of Ohio, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments, OKI, as well as serving as a member on many other boards. While serving for 12 years on the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, he was president of the board in 2009, 2011, 2013, 2015, and 2018. Therefore, the Board of Clermont County Commissioners wishes to recognize and honor Edwin H. Humphrey for his contribution and services to our county, our state, and our country. To commemorate his accomplishments and service, Edwin H. Humphrey's name will forever be placed on the Clermont County Leadership, a History of Leadership display as 135th Clermont County Commissioner to serve the citizens of Clermont County, Ohio. Ed, it's a great pleasure to present you this proclamation from the Board of Clermont County Commissioners.
Thank you so much.
And I don't know if you noticed, but your wife helped us.
Yeah.
And those are...
She is good at pictures.
There is even a picture here of you with black hair at the Miamiville Fire Department.
There you go.
No question.
Yep.
Ed, I'm so pleased and so honored to have gotten to serve with you.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here, wait a minute. We'll let him step out here.
Just one word. I want to thank everyone for their support over the years and as an elected official. We have a tremendously positive staff here. Clermont County has moved and changed staff over the last several years. We have an extremely good staff. I leave it in the hands of Bonnie and you all to continue that. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You want one back?
Yeah.
This one's wide enough we can kind of stay. Yeah.
Short people in the middle. Short people in the middle. How is he gonna do?
There you go.
Very good.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
And
you
I'm
all.
going to have this carried back into your family.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Wait, could you carry that back to his family in his waiting room there? Thank you.
What's the TV for there?
We're upgrade.
Oh, good.
See this,
Just when I leave.
Wasn't that the largest proclamation you ever saw?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're upgrade.
Thank you.
You got a wall big enough for that, Ed?
No, but we'll make one.
I knew that was coming. You heard that, didn't you? You're like, we'll make one for that one. Okay, we will move on with the regular agenda. I'm requesting, this is the fifth add-on. I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to Section 121.22G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment or compensation of one or more public employees. Do I have a motion to move to executive session?
So moved.
A second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. We will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business.
Would you like Ms.
Oh.
Bonnie Batchelor to join you in executive
We'll make that
session?
a part of my motion.
Okay.
Claire will make that a part of her second.
The motion has been amended to go into executive session to include Bonnie Batchelor in that executive session. And Claire, you second that motion?
Second.
Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will move to executive session. We will return and conduct further business. There you go. We are back from executive session. There were no actions taken and no decisions made. We'll move on with our agenda. Tom, I'll ask one last time. Do we have any further additions to the agenda?
Right. Yeah, we have a personnel action for your consideration.
We may have to wait for
I
Sandy.
think we have to wait for Sandy on this one.
When the other personnel, I'll check with her.
We get, so you have a personnel action?
We have two,
We have a personnel action for your consideration,
Okay.
as well as we have a classification plan change for your
Correct.
consideration. I
Okay.
want to check with our HR department to see if they have a class plan ready for presentation.
Okay.
And then Greg, I don't, you want to talk to the personnel
I
action?
think I hear
Yeah.
it coming right now.
we have
So we need a motion to
There she is.
add two items to our agenda at your request.
that's correct.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we've added two additional items to our agenda. One is a personnel action and one is a
Classification plan.
change. Okay.
Mr. Hott?
Sandy, how are you?
I am great, thank you.
Good.
Which would you like to do first?
Do the class plan.
Class plan? Okay. It is my recommendation, Sandy Tahat, Human Resource Administrator, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to amend Appendix 4.09 of the county's Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual with respect to the county classification plan. That amendment is to amend the pay range for the classification title of County Building Inspector from a pay range E to a pay range F, and to add the class title of a Master Plans Examiner, class number 79267 at a pay range E, to be made a part thereof, effective upon approval, and to authorize the update of appropriate internet links and dependencies accordingly.
Board, you've heard the outline of the classification changes that Ms. Tahat has so graciously explained to us. Do I have a motion for approval?
I make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any conversation or questions for Sandy? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. And the second one.
And then we have a personnel action for the Board of County Commissioners. It is for Joshua Davis, Chief Dog Warden, new hire, vacant position, effective January 1st, 2021.
Board, you've heard the request for a personnel action for Joshua Davis as a dog warden here at Clermont County. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and have received a second. Are there any further discussions or conversations? I'll make a conversation there. If it's the board's pleasure that we start down the avenue of hiring dog wardens, that obviously we are going to follow the protocol to replace the current agency of CARES or CACHS. Are there any conversations about that or comments that the board would like to make?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that. I think we went out with the RFP. We came back. We negotiated in good faith. We made an offer. They made an offer of 700 some thousand. We made a counter offer of 500,000, they summarily rejected our counteroffer and were not willing to negotiate any further. So that's why we removed the RFP. And I think that's, today is the day that we need to hire a dog warden if we're going to hire them, because we're out of time. So I think we need to hire a dog warden and go on. We can, and I would encourage us to go out for an RFP for Humane Society services to add to the dog warden services at the shelter that it currently exists. And I would like to direct them, we'd do that separately, I guess, direct our staff to put an RFP together for Humane Society services. But yes, so that's my discussion on that issue. I think we need to hire the dog warden because we're in a pickle that we have to, it simply has to be done because we have to take over the services January 1st.
Okay.
I'd like to also add, Commissioner Humphrey, that in taking over those services, contrary to what has been out there on social media, I'd like to make it clear that we are not headed to being a kill shelter. We still have the goal of this entire commission, if I'm speaking for myself at this point, that we will remain a non-kill shelter.
It is my intent that we remain no kill. And if we keep dogs beyond the 3 days, we will continue to try and work with humane societies and rescues and others and people and foster families to take these dogs rather than putting them down just because they're into their 3 days. I think that we should continue to do that we should continue to be kind to animals and keep them until we can find a good home for them or a good place for them. So I would also support that no-kill policy.
Okay. Anything further? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
No. Any other agenda items to come before us today?
I'd like to direct our staff to put together an RFP for Humane Society services that would be the use of the remainder of the shelter out there because we don't have that. We will not have that many dogs, I don't think, to keep all those kennels filled. So, and if we do, we do. But I think we should continue to do an RFP for Humane Society services to continue the operation that CARES has so well done for us, but we're unwilling to negotiate further with us. So I would like to direct staff to put together an RFP here for Humane Society services.
Tom, could you comment on that? Okay.
Yeah, we could do that, Commissioner Humphrey.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and put something together for that type of service, knowing that we're going to be hiring a dog warden.
Okay.
And support staff.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any other additions to come on the agenda?
Sir.
Okay. Then I'll move to F, county staff and elected official discussions. Any further county staff or elected official discussion? Okay.
I kind of did my discussion before that, but okay.
Then we'll go to G, member comments. Any member comments today?
Just continue to stay safe. I thank everyone for the gifts and for the accolades as being a commissioner in my long service. Stay safe, wear your mask, social distance. I know we got a vaccine coming, but we got to wait until we all get vaccinated and get herd immunity. That'll be the time that we can take our masks off, not until. So it's kind of a push. We're incentivized even more to wear our masks because we know there is an end in sight.
Mr. Corp?
Just want to thank Commissioner Humphrey for all of your guidance and thank you for your service. It's absolutely been a pleasure serving with you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we hope to see you back here a lot. I know maybe you can sneak away and Janice won't know that you're coming in, but thank you, Janice, also. It's a lot to put up with somebody who's in the public life, I understand. Thank you.
And likewise, Commissioner Humphrey, thanks so much for all of your years of service to Clermont County. I hope that you after stepping away from the Board of Commissioners. I know Janice is very adamant about you retiring, but, you know, I would encourage you to stay engaged in the community and to pick something that you would like to sponsor and keep on doing so that we get to see you, you know, down the road and at some of these outings that we all go to.
I put in an application to continue that service that will come before you in some future time, so
Okay. We appreciate that.
thank you.
And I would welcome the opportunity to sit down, you know, again, when this COVID environment is over and enjoy one of those chicken dinners that I said I would never talk about
Yes,
again, you know?
yes, and maybe lunch over at Grandma's.
I understand. And there, the last thing that I'll say before we enjoy some food together, they put this note on my dais every time that we have a meeting, and it says to acknowledge Commissioner Ed Humphrey, and that's because, you know, you've always joined us
Virtually.
remotely,
Yes.
and we didn't want to forget you. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to keep this here on my desk so that I always acknowledge Commissioner Ed Humphrey
Okay.
is here in spirit.
We'll have a few more virtual meetings, it sounds like, so.
Again, Ed, thanks
Thank
for
you.
your service, and
Thank you.
may God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You all
With
very
that,
much.
I'd ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Holly, roll call.
Commissioner Humphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, that concludes our meeting for December the 16th, 2020. Thank you for joining. Thank you for participating with Mr. Humphrey today, and we will see you on the 28th. Is that right, Holly?
That's correct.
Okay.
December 28th at 10 a.m.
Very good.
So everyone have a Merry Christmas and a safe Christmas
Yes.
with you and your family. God bless.
I will see you virtually on the 28th.